The teams are in for Essendon versus Carlton, and there's 2 changes for both sides. We're going to go through all that and some other news right now.
We've always had the passion and the iron will. No one doubts the courage of the boys from Windy Hill.
Look, all I know is that this song is still stuck in my head.
So before we get into the teams, there's a couple of things to address. Vigo Vicentini will sign a 2-year deal to remain at the club until 2027. I don't think he's officially put pen to paper quite yet, but that will be done probably tomorrow or the next day. It's pretty much a done deal. And that comes on the top of Nick Bryan yesterday signing with the club until 2027. So we do have 2 of our ruckmen agreeing to stay with the Bombers for the next couple of years. Sam Draper, of course, is still torn on what to do. My personal opinion is he wants to stay at Essendon. He loves the club, but he's not quite sure in terms of a career move whether he should stay or go. I think it's quite interesting. It was mentioned with Nick Bryan yesterday that he looks forward to working with Sam Draper next year. Nick Bryan and Sam Draper are apparently good friends. And, you can read between the lines on what he means by that comment. Have they had private discussions and Draper's told him that he's going to stay? I don't know, but it is an interesting thing to hear when you hear Nick Bryan saying that he looks forward to playing with Sam Draper next year. So how you interpret that? Well, we don't quite know. In terms of other things, there's been no contract offers made for Jackson Pryor and Ben Hobbs. So there must be some doubt now on Hobbs, given that other clubs are aware that he hasn't had an offer from Essendon. He's out of contract. We have to get rid of or delist 8 to 10 players. There's a couple of other ways we can, get rid of players without having to just delist the uncontracted players. For example, you can potentially get rid of contracted players for draft picks in future years. That frees up a spot on the list for the following season. Remember, if you get rid of a contracted player for a draft pick this year, you're just swapping a player for a player, essentially. So you're not really freeing up a spot on the list. So there's a couple of different ways it could be done to get rid of these 8 to 10 players that we need, that we unfortunately have to delist in some way or the other. But really, with Hobbs not getting an offer, that does put some doubt on him, especially with our midfield, which is pretty strong. Especially if you look at McGrath, who, with his good form in the midfield over the last couple of weeks, there has to be some belief by those at the club that he'll be playing in the midfield next year. And you add, Parrish and Martin and Caldwell and Merritt and Durham and all these kind of players in there. There absolutely has to be some doubt over Hobbs and his place at the club. So he might be one to watch in terms of whether he's delisted or not. Dylan Shield will not be at the club next year. It's been mutually agreed that he won't be at Essendon. I think he does want to play on somewhere. Look, he's 32 years old. There's probably some club that, could do with his experience and his class. He is a classy player, but he definitely won't be at the Bombers next year. But he is going to be playing this week, and we're going to get into those teams right now. So first of all, Carlton, the Blues, the arch enemy. In for them comes Camporelli and Will White. Out is Fogarty and Cooper Lord. Cooper Lord was concussed last week. Still no Mitch McGovern in that team. Curnow is not playing, of course. I mentioned him for some reason in the preview thread, even though I knew he wasn't playing, but he is obviously out for the year. He's having surgery. But they've still got Tom De Koning and Harry Mackay in there as the 2 key forwards. Tom De Koning, as you can see, is listed there at full forward. And it's going to be a big task for Jason Laverty on those players, and Lachlan Blackiston to cover those 2 players. Will this be Tom De Koning's last game for Carlton, potentially moving to St Kilda on about $1.7 million a year? You wonder how they're going to fit all these players into the salary cap at the Saints, don't you, if he goes? But in his last game, will his heart be in it? What will be going through his mind? It'll be interesting to see that. But that is the Carlton team, our arch rivals, and we're going to be playing them on Thursday. Now, for the Bombers, in for the Bombers is Zach Merritt for his 250th game, and Dylan Shield. Out is Ben Hobbs, and that alludes to what I was talking about before, given that he hasn't been offered a contract and now he's been dropped for the second last game. So this leads me to believe it's more likely than not that he will probably be delisted. Saad El Houli, disappointingly in my eyes, also is out of the team. So we don't have a good record in milestone games, Essendon. We haven't, going back years and years and years. Remember Kevin Sheedy's last game and James Hurd's last game and the and the 150th anniversary game against Carlton, which we lost, and Dustin Fletcher's 400th game. I could go on and on and on. We don't have a good record in these games, so it would be fantastic to get a win for Zach Merritt against Carlton in his 250th game, because he does deserve a win. And I think it would be good for the fans, obviously good for the fans, but just good for some of the players who are yet to play in a winning team. Lachlan Blackiston, Jordan McMahon, Liam McMahon, yet to play in a winning team for the Bombers. And it looks as though it probably won't impact our position on the ladder as well. It's possible that North Melbourne could go ahead of us if they beat Adelaide and things like that. But also looking at the percentage difference between Carlton and Port Adelaide, it's unlikely there'll be any change on the ladder at this stage. So there's an incentive for us to want to win this game and go out of the season, at least out of the season, for games in Melbourne, the last game that the home fans will be a chance to watch with a win. I think it would be fantastic. We've had some good wins against the Blues in the past in the final round, specifically that win in 2016 that I remember, which was the top-ups. Beat the Blues, and it was an embarrassing day for them, and hopefully we can do it again to them. We're about a 4-goal underdog, but I actually think we are capable of winning this game. So as you go through the teams on paper, in the back line, Andrew McGrath, Jaden Laverty, and Jaden Nguyen. Now, Jaden Nguyen, 3 games in a row, he's played very well. I have to note that Higgins kicked 3 goals last week, but he only had 4 kicks. And a couple of them were from, at least one from a free kick, might have actually been 2 from a free kick. So you can't really do much more than keep the small forward that you're playing on to 4 kicks. If he kicks 3 goals, well, what can you do? So that is something to watch. Jaden Nguyen, who will he be playing on in the Carlton forward line? That remains to be seen. Mason Redman on the halfback flank, Lachlan Blackiston and Archie Roberts. So big jobs for Blackiston and Laverty against Mackay and De Koning. Harry Mackay, of course, last week kicked 7 goals against Port Adelaide. No Ben Mackay into the team. There was some suggestion that Ben Mackay could come in, but he is not in the side. The wings, Xavier Dersma, Zach Merritt in the middle of the ground, and Luaman Lual on the other wing. Sardel Hooley, who has been playing on a wing when he's been playing in the reserves, not in the team. Obviously, as we alluded to, he has been dropped. Half forward line, Matt Guelphy, Peter Wright, and Jade Gresham. The full forward line, Kyle Langford named in the pocket. Liam McMahon playing against his former side. He wasn't really a Carlton listed player, but he was playing in their reserves, so he would know maybe a little bit about the Carlton side. And Isaac Kako in the pocket. Isaac Kako did play a little bit in the midfield last week. I would expect him to have a little bit more midfield time again against the Blues. Goldstein, Perkins and Durham. So what's going to go on with Goldstein? Will this be his last game? Will VIGO come in for the game against the Suns? Goldstein wants to run around again. I can't see him getting a spot on Essendon's list, just because if you have to delist 8 or 10 players, then obviously an out-of-contract 37-year-old would be, you think, among the first to go. But he wants to go around. But would it be with Essendon? Will it be with someone else? That remains to be seen. But it's him, Perkins and Durham as the followers. The interchange bench is Dylan Shield, Jackson Pryor, Jai Menzies retains his spot in the team, Angus Clark and Reece Unwin gets his second game. And the emergencies, Cale Girine, Zach Johnson and Saad El Hooley. 3 pretty strong emergencies there. Cale Girine named first emergency, so just keep a watch on that one. Jaden Laverty was not listed as being injured, and I expect he'll play, but he can't be 100% after getting subbed off. So just keep an eye on Cale Girine, potentially, maybe getting a gig for his first game of the season if anyone does come out of the side. So they are the teams. What do you guys think of the team? Do you think anyone else should have come into the team other than Merritt and Shield? What do you think of, do you think of Zach Johnson, Saad Hooley? Should they both be in the team? I would probably have Zach Johnson and Saad, particularly Zach Johnson. I would probably have him in the team somewhere. I really like what he's brought to the team this year when he's played. So let me know what you guys think. They're the teams. I'm going to leave it right there. Have a great day. And as always, go Bombers.